Hey, this is Kelly from the Dolly Rocks.
This is Joe Queer from the Infamous Queers.
Hey, Sleepy P. Martini.
Hey, this is Indica Flower.
And you are listening to
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Losers.
Well, they needed a jingle for their stupid little show, so they called up the Jasons and we said, fuck no. Then they called us again and they gave us $20 and we wrote them a song that said, your podcast sucks. Then they gave us more money and they asked us really nice and we finally gave in and we said, all right, I'll write you a song, but it's gonna be a clone of a Screeching Weasel song that we heard a while ago. So we wrote them a jingle and it sounded really rad. It was the best little jingle that their podcast ever had, but the file got corrupted and the email didn't work. Now they're stuck without a jingle singing our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. In a very non-copyright infringing sort of way.
What's up, everyone? In just a few days, we will be hosting Kepi Ghoulie at the Pie Shop in DC, May 11th, Thursday night. Get your tickets at pieshopdc.com or visit ourbrainshurt.com. Click on events and click on the flyer. That's Kepi Ghoulie, May 11th at the Pie Shop in DC. Hope to see you there. This episode is brought to you by PunkBox. If you're looking for an awesome gift idea, head over to punkboxrocks.com. That's punkboxrocks.com for a monthly punk rock merch subscription service. Everything you would normally find at a merch table at a punk show delivered to your house once a month. The box could include things like buttons, patches, stickers, koozies, vinyl, cassettes, CDs, all sorts of cool shit. punkboxrocks.com. This episode is also brought to you by Merch Slut. Merch Slut has a wide array of punk rock band t-shirts that she gets directly from the bands or the label. These are not cheap knockoffs. She also has awesome merch, funny merch, like really funny greeting cards, notebooks you could personalize, all sorts of cool shit. Head over to merchslut.com. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Come on. Stupid thing, just get bigger. Oh.
I had a nickel for every time I had to say that.
Got one little tiny
What is that?
aperitif glass.
Nice. What's in it?
Gin.
Oh, nice.
But a very specific one of Hendrix's summertime releases called I think Flora Dora.
Cool.
Yeah, Hendrix makes all these really great like limited edition seasonal gins. Normally I would, wouldn't drink gin straight, make a mixed drink with it. But this particular one, like the flavor in it is very strong. It has this it literally tastes like you poured water or gin, actually. Like regular flavored Hendrix into like a rose and let it sit in the rose for like a day.
Okay.
So like you've had rose water before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or smelt. Yeah. It tastes like rose water, except it's fucking gin. It's actually really good.
Is Hendrix your gin of choice?
Oh yeah. 100%. I have a few others, but Hendrix is the first one that like changed the game.
Yeah.
Because gin is basically the same thing as vodka. It's just with fucking juniper berries, basically. That's the flavor that makes gin taste like, to some people, Christmas trees, and to other people, jet fuel.
It's Christmas trees to me.
It's jet fuel to me.
Gin. I was a gin drinker for a long time.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
So were you a Hendrix fan at all, or was that before Hendrix existed?
I always got Beefeater.
So
because it puts hair on your balls.
Yeah. Puts hair on your beef. I back in the day, like I used to, when I was a kid, I shouldn't say kid, I was like teenager.
Yeah.
I used to drink Tanqueray with my buddy Joe. And Bombay Sapphire was always a decent one. And Beefeater, yeah, I definitely had my share of Beefeater. But then Hendrix fucking hit in like the 2000s, and man, did they change it. It's so good. Like it's fucking crazy how much better Hendrix is than immediately than like any other gin was. And now, of course, there's 1.5 million craft gins that have like tried to improve upon it. But it's because they added a tiny bit of cucumber to the mix. So like the juniper and the cucumber together equal refreshing, which is something that gin never was previous to that.
Definitely not.
It's really good mixed drinks now. Like that's what caused the gin resurgence was Hendrix.
Yeah. I think I was drinking it before. This is probably 15 years ago.
Hendrix might have been around 15.
I think they were around, but they
yeah.
probably weren't doing all their flavorful stuff.
No. That just started like a few years back, really heavily. Like I got up on my shelf, all the bottles are empty, but I like keeping the limited edition bottles to Hendrix. I've got one called like Lunar, one called, well, the one I just got was Flora Adora. And then I think the other one I have is Orbium. Oh no, Neptunia. There is one called Orbium. I haven't had that one. And then there's another one, like basically Hendrix's version of, or a gin version of fucking absinthe.
Gin and tonic is a great drink.
Oh, it's a classic. When I bartended, that was like, I sold more gin and tonics than like ever at that fucking bar, because I changed the game a little bit. I'm like, whenever I make somebody a gin and tonic, before I hand it to them, I'm like, would you care for a splash of cranberry juice in there? Nice. And most people are like, oh, yeah, that sounds tasty. And fucking put a little splash of cranberry. And so, dude, we sold so many fucking gin and tonics when I bartended at Happy's, just because of that. I still know people to this day who still drink them that way because of me.
It's awesome.
They're like, why did we never think of a splash of cranberry juice in a gin and tonic? I'm like, I don't know, man. Cranberry lime, gin and tonic is a great mix. I got this one other that I make that's a craft cocktail. It's, I don't know what to call it. It's based off of a drink called a Lost in Translation. But a Lost in Translation doesn't have gin in it. So, but it's up your alley, man, because it's like a summer day Italian fucking cocktail. You know, it's like something you would think like one of those ladies with like slick back hair and like a form-fitting dress smoking a fucking cigarette on the long thing would be like sipping it and like ciao.
I just got a boner.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so it's Hendrix or gin, whatever gin your preference. So gin, Luxardo, which is a maraschino cherry liqueur. It's clear. Campari, another fucking Italian. Little bitters. So those are the three like alcohols that are in it. And then it's ginger beer. I like to use Fentimans for it because Fentimans is my favorite ginger beer. San Pellegrino, another Italian thing. Grapefruit soda.
Oh, that's so good.
And a lemon wedge. Nice. Dude. Yeah, over ice, dude. On ice, that drink is fucking phenomenal.
That's awesome.
It's a little bit sweet. It's bitter, and you get that like from the lemon wedge and the San Pellegrino grapefruit soda. You get that citrus in there. It's super refreshing.
Nice.
You get a little bit of sweet from the Luxardo.
Hell yeah. That sounds awesome.
I got a cocktail
now.
Oh, dude. Have you still not drinking?
No, so I went to go see the English Beat on Friday night. And when I was there, I had two, they were called Diablos. It was like a tequila drink. It was like tequila, ginger beer, something else. I don't know. It was good though.
Like almost a Mexican mule.
Kind of. Yeah. Tonight we were talking to Kepi Ghoulie.
Indeed.
So this will be a rad conversation. And he's actually in the room. So
yeah,
here we go.
Let's go for it. Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for taking the time out.
No problem.
What are you up to?
Now it's in that mode where we're like packing and stuff. We leave in like 2 days, so it's just the madness, merch orders and what have you.
Yeah. Where do you guys kick things off?
We start in Reno, Nevada,
Okay.
and then it's really funny because the next day we play Winnemucca, which like nobody ever plays Winnemucca.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's between Reno and Salt Lake, and it's basically where you turn to go north to Idaho. It's just like it's just where the freeways interchange, and nobody plays there. But I have a buddy / fan that's booked me like 3 times acoustic, and now we're playing a skate park there. So I'm stoked.
Cool.
I love playing those kind of towns where like nobody ever goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Is that in Nevada still, or is it in Utah?
It is. Yeah, it's only like 8 hours from like Reno to Salt Lake, and it's only like 2 more hours down the road towards Salt Lake east. So, I guess a super Winnemucca fan would normally just drive to Reno to see whatever show they wanted to see. But yeah, I have maybe 30 or 40 people there. I've played there like 3 times now, and it's slowly growing.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And are you in Sacramento?
I lived in Sacramento forever, and then I live now in Sebastopol, which is about an hour north of San Francisco.
Okay.
Our biggest feature is Tom Waits lives here. Is the biggest thing, and then I think the guy from Primus, the bass player from Primus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But,
What's his name?
Why can't
I'm blanking out. It'll
it.
come to me.
Yeah.
Same. Les Claypool.
Yeah, Les
Claypool, yes. And so we're in wine country, and he makes wine and stuff like that too. So yeah.
Cool.
Have you had his wine?
I have not. No, I have not. I've run into Tom Waits a couple times. That's kind of fun.
That's awesome. Now I want to try his wine.
I know. We'll see. Well, maybe I'll try to find a bottle before I hit the road. We got like 2 days. It's insane. Yeah. So you guys are doing the show in DC.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right. At the Pie Shop. I don't think I've played the Pie Shop. The last times I was playing the Comet Ping Pong, and is that place still around?
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, because I know that's crazy Pizzagate place and all that stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I actually have played there. When I played there before, they said the place was haunted, and they said it had ghosts. So maybe that building is. Yeah, maybe it's whack. Yeah.
I've actually never been there before. So
I had a couple good shows. I played with Mikey Erg. Oh, I played with the Mean Jeans there. That was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Really like those guys.
I always forget that they're originally from DC and they moved to the West Coast to Portland.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing I was gonna bring up today, because it's like, if technically like the whole Kepi band is East Coasters, because Adam the drummer, he was born in DC area, and and then in Virginia, I think like Arlington or somewhere nearby, and then I was born in Cape Cod, and then B-Face is like a New Hampshire guy. So technically we're all like East Coasters, but
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do most of your growing up in Cape Cod?
No, my dad was in the Air Force. So most of my growing up was like, my whole life, except for probably 5 or 10 years, has been pretty much like Sacramento area, the suburbs of Sacramento. Yeah. Lived in LA for a couple of years, and then I've been out here for about 5 years, and did COVID was whack. B-Face and I were going to start touring full time, and I moved to Phoenix and rented this tiny little cheap house. And I rented this house, and the country shut down, and I sat in Arizona for a year during the pandemic doing nothing. Yeah, live streams and painting. Yeah, yeah.
In a town you probably didn't know too many people in either, huh? Or did you?
Not at all. A couple friends, and the people I did know, it was complete like mask up, lockdown, don't leave your house. The house I was renting was like in this crazy industrial area part of town, and it was just like 2 little houses. It was like me and this like Vietnam vet with a pit bull, and the whole thing was like a compound with like a giant wall around it, and outside was just like gunshots and screeching tires all day and night. So it was quite the experience, and my best friend that did live there, like, she was a school teacher and was being like super like never leaving the house and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a good, everything is a good experience. Like it definitely makes you see if you can live with yourself. And I survived.
Yeah. Actually, I can totally appreciate trying to look at that whole situation as a positive experience of learning. I can totally appreciate. You're the first person I've heard mutter that, and the thought never even crossed my mind. So I can really appreciate that.
Cool. Yeah. And what I did right away, like, people started doing streams on their phones, and what I did instantly, what I'm still doing to this day, actually during the first month of the pandemic, I started doing this thing, the Kepi show, every Saturday morning live on my phone. And I've done that now for over 3 years straight without missing one show. So I've done that every Saturday since the pandemic.
That's awesome.
And then for about 700 or 800 days in a row, I did audio pick me up, which I just did like a 1-minute song on Facebook and Instagram and posted it every day for almost 3 years. I finally just like, okay, that's enough. Once the pandemic started healing and stuff, but it actually give you a reason to get out of bed and get dressed, and people liked it as as something to look forward to or whatever. So it worked for everybody. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Hell yeah.
We wouldn't have this podcast right now if it wasn't for that either. This is what we did. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. And congratulations. I know. And like I did Jugheads, and he brought his back, and it all had a purpose. I got 2 records done that, Vic from the Slackers and we made a record in 2012, and we never actually finally like mastered it, sequenced it, etc. for 9 years. And during the pandemic, we finished that record, and a split single I had with an Italian band. So it was good for like cleaning up shit and getting
yeah.
A lot of bands were able to kind of like get some good studio time in and kind of finish some because touring was obviously a no-go, but everything else
and little band, we don't have it's funny to see like Green Day or Social Distortion, like, oops, nope, it's next year, oh nope, one more year, I can't do that. Like 1 month, and you start being like, oh, where's the rent gonna come from?
When you were growing up, do you remember the first few punk bands that you kind of fell in love with, like bands that got you into punk rock?
Yeah, totally. There's definitely like these, like, I definitely have these, like, I started out probably as like a Devo and Elvis Costello kid, right? And then like, my brother came home from a school dance, and he had won a stack of records, and it was like Crystal Gale and CB Trucker hits, and there was in that pile of records I still have to this day was a promo copy of Nevermind the Bollocks, and it was like, he's like, you want these? And I'm like, yeah, and I put it on, and it just like, blew my mind, just like, fuck this and fuck that. I would play it for my friends and would just be like, oh my God, they're cussing, So that Sex Pistols record changed my world. And then of course the Ramones, obviously. And then my buddy, I had a couple, there was like, in my school, there was maybe 3 punks and maybe 3 more like, new wavers or whatever. And a buddy of mine ended up becoming a drummer for this band, the Tales of Terror, out of Sacramento. And he took me, my first show was like the Dead Kennedys at a VFW hall.
Nice.
Oh man.
And so it was for real. Like, I stood on a chair in the back just going like, whoa, that was huge. And then we had a little club in Sacramento. Well, maybe you guys want to do, you guys might want to interview Kevin Seconds. Have you done him yet?
No. We'd love to though.
Yeah. I'll tell. It's funny. After I did Jughead's podcast, then Kevin went on.
Nice.
But Kevin, he was in Reno. He started 7 Seconds. He's a Sacramento guy now, and then he's got all those ties to like Ian and that crew in DC. But we had a little club in Sacramento that was in a warehouse, and then I got to see like, GBH and DOA, and I had a van, so I got to roadie for Tales of Terror. So they would go to San Francisco, and I got to see like Anti-Nowhere League, Red Cross when Janet was still in the band, Circle Jerks, Bad Brains, like all. I got really lucky with that. Like I just, I got to really be there for a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. God, I would pay to be able to go back in time and see the circle jerks during that era.
Yeah, it was absolutely bonkers. There was a couple things that I'm really like, yeah, no one will ever know. It's the same with like Devo back then. Like even Devo was like so revolutionary, like revolutionary. You would like all those stories about getting beat up and getting called Devo. They're absolutely true, and they happen. I was one of those guys that got beat up, or and then Whip It becomes a hit, and it's all different. But like DOA, GBH, like GBH was like insane. Like you'll never know. Like even you watch a video, it's not the same when you watch a video or something.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm really grateful for those. Anti-No really blew my mind. Circle Jerks, Chuck Biscuits would hang out with us when we were kids and stuff. Like, yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
It was. And recently there's a really funny one because a lot of people are kind of like, I don't know, I still like Social Distortion. I think, whatever, if you're a survivor, I don't care what you do. I'm glad Iggy Pop, Social Distortion. If you're still going, good for you.
Yeah.
And they recently posted like, well, what was your first Social Distortion show, And I got to see like Mike with the eyes and the beret, like at the Mabuhay Gardens, like, when I was just like the littlest kid, and it's like, it changed it changed your life. Like it really like affected you. You remember these shows, and yeah. I like the rock and roll bands too, like that it came into my music. Like, Red Cross is like one of my biggest, and being in California, getting to see them a lot, I got to see the Cramps a lot. And,
oh God, they're so good.
yeah. The Ghoulies got to tour with the Cramps. We did their whole last tour, and that was something I'll like forever be grateful for. Was just like getting to, it was only like 9 shows, but it was 9 amazing, there's only one Cramps. There's only one Ramones, like nothing like that ever. Yeah.
I think I was supposed to go to one of the shows on the Cramps last tour, and something happened. I didn't end up going.
Yeah. What were your guys' like entry points? What were the ones? What was,
For me, like I remember the first band that I heard that wasn't like a radio band were the Dead Milkmen.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like my gateway drug into punk rock. I was just blown away by just like the humor, like the just the absurdity of their songs and the lyrics and the music. I just thought it was really cool. And then I kind of got into like some New York hardcore stuff like Gorilla Biscuits. And now once I heard Gorilla Biscuits, that Start Today record, I was hooked. I was like, this is what I need in my life. Like, so it was all, it was all, punk rock from there.
Yeah.
And my first show was in somebody's basement, a couple local bands. We had a really good local scene where I'm from for some reason, because we're just a small town in Maryland. But yeah, I mean, band called Webster and a band called Plunger. Still friends with those guys today. It was in somebody's basement. I mean, that's where all the good punk rock starts, I guess, in people's basements, garages.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, but Jesse from Op Ivy just posted like just the other day, he's back doing all this stuff. He's like, I didn't intend to play music, and now I got 2 new bands going again and all this stuff. But he posted this funny thing about like, why did everybody move to be near Gilman when all you really need is like 10 friends and you can have your own scene, and and there's less rules and less everything. So like, the wacky friends in the basement thing is true.
Totally.
You can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Dead Milkmen, yeah, definitely. Like they wrote their own book. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were cool.
What was your other entry bands and stuff?
I think probably the biggest one that was probably Bad Religion. I lived in Northern Virginia, and there was like this house in my neighborhood that had a half pipe in the backyard. And like I lived down the street, I went to a babysitter's house after elementary school down the street, and some of the younger kids who skateboarded there like kind of took me under their wing, and all these dudes made like a mixtape for me, and I was in like 5th grade, and it was like this was probably like 1988 or 1989.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of Discord bands that ended up on there, as you can imagine, because it was Northern Virginia. But it turns out like a lot of the Discord band guys skated that half pipe. And apparently, according to one of my buddies, Dave Grohl used to skate that half pipe too. So like Yeah, who knows who taught me about punk
Yeah.
rock and who taught me how to skate? Could have been any of those dudes.
Yeah.
But I remember Bad Religion shining through. I remember because Waiting Room by Fugazi was on there. I think it was like an early EP they had put out at that point, and there was some Minor Threat on there. Those were the big ones that stood out to me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how, it's cool to do an interview like in DC because I never talked to anybody out there, and that whole scene, like New York had a scene, Boston, DC, and it's cool. I got super lucky too in the late 80s. I lived in LA for like 5 years, and it's just like, like my first show when I lived in LA was seeing the Cramps for $2, and I was little punk. I had no money, and I rolled up I'll never forget. I rolled up 4 rolls of pennies, and I went and saw the Cramps it was with Congo, and it blew my mind. And years later, when we toured with them, I talked to Lux about that show, and he still remembered that show. Like the Orange County cops, cracked down on him. They said he was trying to pee outside or something, and he wasn't. And he had like a run-in with the cops at that show, and he remembered it. But
wow,
yeah. But then you're going to I got to see Bad Religion at the Olympic, and there was this club called Scream in LA. It was like this gothy punk rock club. Everybody played there, like Social Distortion, Lords of the New Church, Circle Jerks, like just always bands, like always. And the Ramones came through every year, and then they'd do like they'd sell out a club, and then they'd do like a secret show the next day, every day in the Valley or something. So I got to see the Ramones a lot, and that just fed into my like Ramone mania and stuff. But yeah.
I think we got the title of this episode now is Kepi Ghoulie paid to see the Cramps with pennies.
Yeah. Pennies from heaven. My life with the Cramps. But yeah, those shows, and stuff that still, like, to this day, like Jesus and Mary Chain, like,
yeah,
nobody even knew what that was when they came out. You're like, what is this? And I got to see them like at the get go, and there's been some magic, and no, here's a good one for the DC hardcore crew. Nobody knows this really, but like the very, very early Groovy Ghoulies, we got to open, literally open the show. Like they opened the doors while people were coming in. So like, maybe 20 or 30 people saw us, but it was the Bad Brains at the On Broadway. It was the last show. It was the last weekend of the On Broadway, and we got to open the Bad Brains show.
Oh, nice.
And then the next night was Dead Kennedys, and that was like the last 2 shows at the On Broadway.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing to say. It didn't mean much at the time, but I'm glad for all that. I'm glad to still be around, and I'm glad, it's cool.
Yeah, LA in that time, that was a great place and a great time to be there, to experience punk rock.
Yeah, for sure. And rock and roll and things that were so funny. Like here's one of the funniest things of my life is I've never seen Black Flag. Like they used to come around like so often that you're like, I'll see them next time. Time. I never saw them. And then when I was in LA, like, Guns N' Roses formed and Jane's Addiction. My roommate's like, you want to go see Guns N' Roses? I'm like, nah. And then they go see him for like $5 or something.
Now you'd be lucky to see him for like $500.
Yeah. I know. Oh my gosh. The ticket prices for anything is just bonkers now.
I know. When did you start playing music?
Like in high school, probably when I was about 16. And it's super funny, like how, like there's a thing, like how stuff you realize, like, I've been playing for like 40 years now or something crazy. Mm-hmm. And my guitar teacher taught me like those 7 open chords, and then he literally was like, okay, that's all you need to know. If you want to learn guitar solos, you can go take lessons, somewhere else. And, you have enough to play. You can play, barbecues and parties, and you can entertain your friends. And that's what I do now is play 7 chords on an acoustic guitar, 60% of the time, so it's funny that guy kind of like gave me my destiny or something. Crazy. But I am stoked to be able to come back and play electric. I've been, it's been forever, but yeah. I mean, I'll play a couple shows a year, but I haven't done a full like US tour in a while. So I hope it goes good. Yeah.
Well, that's
Very
that's
nice.
rad that you're doing it again, and I'm super stoked that we got to help you out with the show in DC.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you'll like that place too. They have really good pie. They actually have pie, so it's not just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's funny. Adam, the drummer, I made this solo record in like 2009 or something called Life Sentence, and I drummed on the record. And then right after that, Adam started drumming with us. And so by the time the record came out, we put like, Kepi guitar, drums, dyno bass, Adam, friend and pie eater. Like he's a pie aficionado. And he's already been on the website. He's like, yeah, they got pie. They got vegan pie. I can order us a vegan pie the day before. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So I definitely will be playing at that's like playing a burrito shop or something like that.
But they get that place. It's a cool little place. It's small, but like the upstairs is a really nice venue, and they treat bands really, 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 really well. Like I have not come across a place that treats bands like they do. It's not often, at least. Like they're
right.
super. All their sound people are in house. I don't know. It's a phenomenal experience every time.
Cool. I look forward to it. And that's like the best kind of show. Like that show where you walk in and you just know the people and you give them a hug or whatever. It's like, it doesn't take a lot to be nice, but some venues find a way to avoid it. I think not so much these days. Like if you're still putting on like punk shows and stuff at this day and age, you got to be loving it. You got to.
Totally. Yeah. The punk venue has gone by the wayside in some places.
Oh, I know. And luckily, like, I don't, it's been a while since I did a rock tour. If I just go out playing acoustic, like, I don't care if I get a day off, or you can book a house show, or, B-Face and I do art. So like a day off, we can just paint and then just sell the art at the next show or whatever. So, in the 90s, like bands hated to have a day off because they were losing revenue. But like, if I get a day off, we can just make art and invest in our future or something. So you figure out ways to make it work for sure.
Yeah.
Will you be bringing art to sell on tour?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And one of the shows in Chicago with Dan Vapid and Josh Caterer from the Smoking Popes and stuff, we did the same show last year, and Vapid and Simon is guitar player in the Cheats and the Methadones and stuff. He's an artist, and so they made the show an art show. Like it's like
sweet.
Oh, cool.
They call it like Circus Maximus, like a music and art thing. I like that. I like how everything's like connected,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, B-Face and I pretty much always have art at the merch table nowadays, and I like connecting it all. I like in Europe, I'll play acoustic at an art gallery or something like that, and
Very cool.
In Boston, we've invited an artist buddy to come vend. Like bring your art and put it out at the merch table, and sell with us. It's all So it's working out.
Really cool. What's your, just to shift gears a little bit? What's your favorite horror movie? I'd have to ask.
Oh man. There's a lot. Like, well, it's of course it always changes. Right now, just recently, I was going through all my old shirts and stuff, and I saw this shirt and this poster for this movie. Do you know Cemetery Man?
Yeah, I do.
I haven't seen it.
Cemetery Man is this guy. He gets a job at a graveyard, and then the dead start coming alive and as zombies, and he's worried he's going to lose his job, so he has to keep re-killing the dead and trying not to let his bosses on to this secret or whatever. So that one just popped into my head. I love that, and then that makes me think of Shaun of the Dead, and then then you can go into like Dawn of the Dead and Living Dead. Like I guess I'm a fan of zombies, and it forever like Evil Dead, and I'm looking forward to the new Evil Dead.
Yeah,
And
same.
yeah, and then nowadays I don't really watch movies like Saw and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's all and sometimes like a movie like I haven't seen that Waiting on Bo or whatever, but I saw like Midsummer, and
Oh yeah, that's a creepy movie.
that movie is whack. And then you want to talk about a horror movie, because what does a horror movie do? Maybe mess with you psychologically. Like,
oh yeah,
after I saw Midsummer, I was like, was that good? Was that definitely scary and weird? Like, you know, that's definitely a horror movie.
Yeah. It's that scene when they fling themselves off the cliff. It was like,
Yeah, right.
oh, it's such a disturbing scene.
Yeah. And there's that whole, you know, and that's like that's just an amplification of like the social thing. Like, you know, like I think like in Vietnam or something, like, you know, when the house gets full, the senior citizens, they would go sit by the river and just sit there till they fell into the river and washed away. Like they would sacrifice themselves for the family. And that's kind of like what those guys were doing in Midsummer or something, you know. I don't know. What are your guys' favorite horror movies?
Well, current day horror movies, a really good one that I think a lot of other people thought it was good too, but have you seen Hereditary?
No, is that the one before? The same director?
It can't I know that it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yes, it is. It is the same director. Yeah.
I bought it on DVD, but I haven't watched it yet. So that's people love that one.
I thought it was pretty exceptional, actually, for a nowadays horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not just filled with like jump scares and cheap scares. Like it's a psychological horror. It's great.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I have that. I'll check it out.
Yeah, for me it's The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like exorcism and like you know possession movies. I was raised Catholic, so like I think that stuff freaks me out like more than anything else. So The Exorcist was just an amazing movie, and for the times that it came out, it's wild. Yeah,
no, that's good. And you got the stairs right there. I did go see the stairs when I played it last time. I played it. Comet Ping Pong. The promoter took us to the Exorcist stairs.
Nice. Have either of you guys ever walked up them?
No.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a walk! I've done it. I think like 3 or 4 times now in my life. I think I'm done.
No, that's cool. I think we need to take B-Face there because he's a big B-Face. You know, all through the 90s, like he had a kind of like a uniform, but he had like an Exorcist shirt, Runaway shirt, a Joan Jett baseball cap. He had like his favorite, and it's funny because I don't know about you guys, but like you still find yourself wearing shirts that you wore on tour, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But they're like so comfortable and they're just like your favorite shirts or whatever. But yeah, B-Face, B-Face is a big Exorcist fan. Those movies are scary. Yeah.
Right around the corner from the top of the Exorcist stairs. I want to say it's like maybe like a half block or whatever. Like if you go up and take a left, you might have to go down 1 block and take a left. But there's this townhouse or row house that whoever lives there built these 2 giant transformer sculptures. And they're like huge. They're both like 20
is that where they
tall.
are? I saw that in the
Yeah, and they're made out of steel and actual car parts, and they're amazing. And they're just like on the sidewalk out in front of the guy's like row house.
All right, you guys might have to entertain us after the show.
Yeah.
We'll bribe you with pie.
I heard the city's making them take those down or something, or there was some kind of controversy behind it.
That seems like something DC would do.
Yeah,
that sucks. Yeah, we have a guy here. There's a guy named Patrick Amois that's a local sculptor. Oh, actually, this is really funny. I'll show. Wait, sorry, people listening at home, you don't get to see the sculpture. But here's this dog on a surfboard. This guy has sculptures all around town, and in his house, a couple blocks away, he has like a 20-foot, 25-foot T-Rex, like metal sculpture.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Can you see this?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Totally. It's a dog on a surfboard.
Yeah, but if you look, like the surfboard is like a welded ironing board, and his nose is like a barrel. His eyes are like headlights. It's like this guy just,
awesome.
Yeah, and like it's like really, it's really like an honor to have like one of his sculptures. And, people like commission sculptures for their yard, and they'll be like, Batman and Death Rider and all this crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I lost you. Oh, there you are. But yeah, so that's our sculptor. And then when you're talking about the Exorcist and local horror films, like my next town over is Bodega, and then Bodega Bay, which is The Birds, Hitchcock's The Birds.
Oh yeah.
So we got that, and that's like one of those movies that you kind of like. You see it now, and you're like, oh yeah, I like The Birds or whatever. But I went and saw it in San Francisco on the big screen a couple of years ago, and it's got some good, it's like Jaws. It's like more psychological. Whatever, but it holds up, and especially on the big screen. Yeah.
I went to a horror fest like a horror convention this like last weekend or 2 weekends ago. I got to meet Christina Ricci. She was there.
Sleepy Hollow is one of my all-time favorite horror films.
So good. Yeah.
I love Sleepy Hollow. It's
Yeah.
well told and it's spooky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Hopefully one day, I get that's one, like a lot of comic book artists have done my record covers and stuff. So I get invited to like comic conventions and stuff like that. Sometimes just a band, and it's like somewhere that you'd be anyway, you know? So,
Right.
but I get to see like, I don't get to see that, but like I saw you guys had Richie on your show, and like Marky and Richie, they get invited to these like horror conventions because of like Pet Cemetery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would and I have yet to meet PJ Souls. Have you guys met PJ Souls yet?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, Riff Randall, and she was also in the first
Oh
Halloween.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She, a lot of those Comic Cons, and a lot of my homies have met her, but I haven't met her yet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You just reminded me that I need to watch Rock and Roll High School again. It's been
My god, yeah, that's probably my most viewed film of all time. Yeah. And nowadays I'm a Wes Anderson-ophile. I really like Wes Anderson. Like there's more story to his stuff, and I don't know. I think those are cool.
Yeah, he does stuff differently, you know, and it's very, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word artsy, but I mean that's what it is, you know. And
It's super artsy. It's like, it's like when you put it in the world of like punk rock or whatever, he's like the Talking Heads or Oingo Boingo something.
Yeah.
It's like it's more heady, but whereas most movies will have like a plot, this will have like 4 little subplots all going, and I like that, how everything intertwines. Also a favorite film that's, I don't know if you could, Sling Blade, that movie Sling Blade.
Oh yeah,
I never saw that.
Billy Bob Thornton, right? Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's almost kind of like Frankenstein. There's like one scene where he's like sitting at the lake with this kid, and his face is kind of greeny blue, and it's just like, like all Frankenstein wanted to do was like fit in, right?
Yeah.
That's why all the punks like Frankenstein. I like all the old Universal films and all that, but
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, or Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder. That's
oh yeah. When I was a little kid, we went to Universal Studios, and Marty Feldman drove by us in a go-kart, made bug eyes at us. We're like, woo! Yeah.
Speaking of the old Universal, like in the monster movies and stuff like that, Marvel put out that Werewolf by Night thing that last Halloween, which is I don't know if you've watched it or yet. I think it's like a 45-minute long movie or something.
No, but a lot of good things about it.
Really, really well done. Like so much better than I was expecting it to be. Like, and they really did a good shout out to some those old those old classics.
Yeah, cool. I heard good things about that. Like B-Face watches all the Marvel. He has like the online subscription, so he watches everything, and WandaVision and all this stuff. And I heard that Werewolf by Night was cool.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely worth a watch if anybody's into those old monster movies.
Yeah. It's funny too, like how you can also mess something up so bad. Because I remember when when they made that movie Van Helsing.
Yeah.
It was, very few movies are like unwatchable, and that movie's pretty unwatchable. It's just like, oh man, like how can you mess something up so bad? I don't know. Oh, I haven't seen Renfield yet. Have you guys seen Renfield?
No,
Not
I
yet.
haven't, but I want to for sure.
Yeah, and the Slackers have a song in it, and I guess I've seen these like shout outs,
nice.
like Voodoo Glow Skulls and Mustard Plug. There's like a lot of like ska name dropping in that movie, I guess. So that's cool.
Ah.
Good for them. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's on the must watch list.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Even though I'll have to drag my girlfriend to see it because Nicolas Cage is in it and she hates him, but this is one I'm gonna make her watch.
How could you hate Nicolas Cage?
in her words, very easily.
His performance in Moonstruck alone makes him a national treasure.
Yeah, I think Raising Arizona gives him a pass in my book forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god, that movie's so good.
Were you currently spinning like musically?
Musically, lately, well, I've been listening to the reissue of Jesse Mallin's like Fine Art of Self-Destruction, which is like a total like singer-songwriter record. But I missed the first time it came out, and that one's been spinning a lot. The Slackers reissues, I really like the Chats and Amel and the Sniffers. Those guys are
Yeah.
that Australia is on fire right now. And
Yeah.
and then and it's really cool too. I like the first time I saw the Chats was in like 2019, and I was like, oh my god, these guys are just like the Australian Mean Jeans.
Yeah.
And then with the Mean Jeans, and then they took the Mean Jeans to Australia, and now they're taking them to Europe. And then the Schizophonics. Do you guys know the Schizophonics?
Mm.
Schizophonics are like a two-piece band from San Diego, and they get their little thing they get compared to is like MC5 meets James Brown, and it's a three. But the guitar player Pat is one of the most, if not the most insane musician you will ever see. Like Prince and Jimi Hendrix or anything. Like he plays almost the whole time one-handed and holds the mic with the other hand and sings, and he's like dancing and doing backflips, and it seems like it could be a circus, but it absolutely shreds. And then the drummer is just as energetic, Letty, and then they have a bass player. I don't know if the bass player is permanent or whatever, but it's a three-piece, and it's just the craziest rock show that you'll ever see. And then they just went on tour with the Chats in Australia, and then now they're going to do the Chats here in the States. So I really like that when bands like find each other and bring tour and bring each other up and make a scene. So I like that. I like all that, and that's a lot of what I've been listening to. And yeah. What about you guys? I Idols. I like the Idols, and yeah, I've been listening to them. I guess. Well, I don't know what else.
I found the Schizophonics here. I'm listening as soon as we're off.
Played with them in LA last year, and it was just absolutely insane. Yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
And they're
very cool. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of like Wu-Tang Clan and Gravediggers because I watched that American Saga, Wu-Tang and American Saga, that it's a 3-season show on Hulu.
Okay.
About their startup, and they're so punk rock the way they started. Wu-Tang Clan, it's insane. And I've always loved them, so I've just been like on this kick. And then like RZA branched off and started Gravediggers, that like horror like rap. It's so good, even though it's old. Yeah,
I was working at a record distributor when Gravediggers came out, and it was insane. Like it sold like Pearl Jam and Madonna. It was insane.
Rancid just put out a new single, which is really, really good. It's very fast and energetic. I've been rocking the hell out of that.
All right.
I don't know if you know who Prof is.
Yeah.
Hip hop artist. He just put out a new record. It's mind-blowingly good. Yeah, if you don't know who Prof is and you like hip hop, you should check him out.
Send me a link on the socials after we do this. And I'm looking forward to new Rancid too. I always loved them, and I loved Tim Timebomb, all his crazy solos. Oh, and they just put Poet's Life out on vinyl again. That's one of my all-time favorite records. Yeah. That one, and they just did Streetcore for Record Store Day. Streetcore is one of my all-time favorite records. I got to see The Clash like 3 times when I was a kid.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
The last one, they just put out a new album. I just saw them the other night on tour. They haven't toured in forever. Sam I Am.
Oh yeah.
They were really, really good too. Like, oh my God, were they good?
Yeah, they're like hometown heroes here. Like, I'm like an hour from Oakland, and they have that club, the Golden Bull, and they just did 2 nights there. There's a there's a big Sam I Am and Green Day presence in the Bay, and it's cool. Like Billy Joe has this brand new like Les Paul Junior Gibson. It's a $2,000 guitar. It's like his own like name brand thing. His imprint or whatever. And just on Sunday, he took like 6 of them to this like local guitar store and just said, the first 6 kids under 16 come down here, get a free guitar. And he just gave away like $12,000 worth of guitars in like 3 hours. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's, if you still support your scene, like it's rare these days, right? Like it's cool. And so, but Sam I Am is back in this area too, and good for them. And we have Jawbreakers from here.
Oh, I love Jawbreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, and the drummer from Jawbreaker is like sitting in with a friend's band like this weekend or last weekend. Like, just like this little, that kind of homie shit is great. I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It's you know, all the hate that Green Day gets in the world from a lot of punk rockers, man. And the dude always has been the same, giving away $12,000 for the guitars,
And yeah, and it's great. And like, if people, I don't know why you would ever talk shit. And these days, you don't have to talk shit. These days, you just don't buy the record or don't go to the show. Like when we grew up, you had to hear like what's on the radio. Like Kevin Seconds and we talk about these funny things. Like Kevin Seconds, there's bands that Kevin Seconds will never listen to again because we just got tortured by them growing up. Now you can stream 100 different genres. You have no excuse to hate a band. You should be looking for other bands you like. There shouldn't be music hate now, But,
yeah, why waste energy on that when you could be finding things you like?
Oh my God. Yeah. And there's so many bands. Yeah. And we have that thing. It used to be the Burger Boogaloo and now it's the Mosswood Meltdown, but it's this garage festival. It goes for 2 or 3 days and you just pretty much any band you see is going to be good, And I got to see like Bill last year, or Kim Gordon, I'd never seen solo, and and then Flipper, my first ever Flipper show,
Nice.
and then there's like Fatty Cakes, these smaller bands on the other stage, and every band is great. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you these 3 questions that we ask everybody.
Okay.
The first question is, if you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
Oh, first thing that pops in, probably like a really, really nice Indian meal. Yeah.
Nice.
I like Indian food and I can't afford it. So if I'm in jail, they got to give it to me. So I'll.
Do you have a favorite Indian dish?
No. Anything really, like you can't go wrong.
I mean, I agree with you completely.
Yeah. It was probably like mali kofta, which is like these little, cheese and tomato sauce. I was a vegetarian for like over 30 years and I switched to vegan in November. So I've been a vegan for about just 4 or 5 months. And you think it's really cool because like, oh, now this restaurant has vegan enchiladas and stuff. And my favorite Indian restaurant in town, every single thing on the menu can be made vegan. So
cool.
Yeah, you can't lose. But the thali is like the little dish where they give you 5 different samplers. So you get that, and it's just like heaven. There's nothing bad. You can't lose at an Indian restaurant almost.
True.
I wholeheartedly agree. I do. It's like the question: if you had to, pick 2 foods, 2 nationalities to eat for the rest of your life, and that's it. Mexican and Indian. Boom.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
Yeah, and my whole, as a punk rocker, it's always Mexican and pizza. You can't go wrong with those. But if there's no budget, Indian food and Thai food. The flavor combinations just blast your mind. It's like ratatouille or something.
Yeah. All right. Second question is, if you were going to have your ashes eternalized in a record of your choice, which one would you pick?
It's not mine. Like,
it could be one of yours. It just has to be one that exists.
It's really funny. I know. And it's cool that you can do that now too, because I just saw somebody like discussing how they would disperse their ashes if they were cremated. I think it's actually, as long as they were not using it as like a selling point for like, oh, Morrissey's last album has a little bit of Morrissey and whatever. But,
because that's going to happen.
Yeah, it will. I actually think that's kind of sweet. Like you could have a fragment of your friend. So if it was not my album, it might be Joe Strummer's Streetcore, because I think Streetcore might be my most profound. Like I think Joe Strummer was the most enlightened celebrity when he passed of every celebrity that I know of. I don't know if anybody was more connected, that figured it all out. I think Joe Strummer was the closest so far. And then if it was my own record, it would probably have to be like Kepi Goes Country or something, because it's got like Fortune Teller, or I have this song called The Great Beyond. Maybe we'll do like a 7-inch of The Great Beyond, and we can
Nice.
press into blood red vinyl, and my ashes and maybe a drop of Angelina Jolie's blood or Billy Bob Thornton's blood. Yeah.
Sweet.
Perfect.
All right. Final question is, who is on your Mount Rushmore of punk rock? And you get a crazy horse, so you get 5 people.
Oh, okay. That's funny. That this one shouldn't be hard for me at all because I actually for the whole time the Ghoulies were touring, I had a Mount Rushmore of punk rock, and there's one on the cover of our album Travels with My Amp, but it's like Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy. It's a monster Mount Rushmore. My personal Mount Rushmore forever and ever was Joey Ramone, David Johansen, Lux Interior, and Iggy Pop. I think that was it. I think that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now
And the thing is, I've got to meet my entire Mount Rushmore. I got to meet them. So I feel really lucky like that sometimes. Like Joey, Iggy, David Johansen. I've got to play acoustic David Johansen. That's one of the highlights of my life. And Lux, I got to tour with the Cramps. So yeah.
Cool. Well, we're giving you a 5th. You get a crazy horse, so you get 5.
You
So you get to add one more.
And I guess shouldn't I put Joe Strummer on there then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect choice.
Because he's the one that's totally connected to the earth. And there's a funny thing I talk about when you tour. When I don't know, were you guys in touring bands ever?
I've gone on a couple. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. And the music that you listen to in the van, like in the Ghoulies, like we had like if you're going into New York, you play like the Dolls and the Ramones and Johnny Thunders and all that stuff. When you're out in the desert, it's always Johnny Cash and Jonathan Richman, Young, and Joe Strummer. Like it's like those guys are connected to the earth or something like that. So definitely, like I have vibes for different, the country or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, different regions. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun to listen to that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, hey, why don't you mention the tour and where you're going, and
Yeah. So we launch. We launched Thursday in Reno, Winnemucca. Then we're going like Nebraska. We're doing that art show, rock show in Chicago. And then we're coming out and we're going to see you guys and do New York and Boston and Maine and then back to Buffalo. And yeah, all the dates are on my Instagram, and B-Face has it on his Instagram. And this is really exciting because B-Face was in the Ghoulies. The Queers took us on our first U.S. tour, and B-Face it was Don't Back Down. So like me and B-Face have been friends forever. And then they imploded after that tour, and he started playing with the Ghoulies. And then we didn't tour together for 20 years. So this is like our first full U.S. tour together again. And The Fun in the Dark came out. So like we're on that together, and Travels with My Amp. So all these records are getting reissued that he's on. Should be pretty special. It's a really good band, and I'm stoked. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, you sound very happy, and it's cool to see.
Yeah. Thanks. And I love to play electric, and you play acoustic to stay alive. I love it. I love Neil Young and all that stuff. But when you get to rock, there's nothing like it. So we're stoked, and I think it'll be good. We did 2 little mini tours last year that were great, and so yeah.
Yeah, we generally don't do too many weeknight shows, but for you guys, like we were just like, yep, 100%, we got this one.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because you do have to play. You can't just play Friday and Saturday, and I don't care who comes out. We will play to 1 million people every night, and Green Bay, certain cities nowadays. I think, people come out and they start the show at 8:00 and it's over by 10 or 11. It can be done. And whatever you want. We're excited, and thanks for having us. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kepi. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. Good luck with the first part of the tour.
Thank you. We'll be in one piece to get to you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Later.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out for another week. Be sure to check out punkboxrocks.com and merchslut.com. Check us out on all social media outlets at Our Brains Hurt and at ourbrainshurt.com. We will talk to you next week. Stay safe. Adios.
How do I do this shit? I can still hear you. So what do I have to press? Close.